So as I stated in my previous video, I've been a fan of the series for a very long time. And over the years, I've seen the memes and the jokes, poking fun at Krillin, saying how, he's been resurrected so many times and how, he was kind of a joke of a character. But I never got it. He's one of my favorite characters and I consider him to be kind of a badass. So I made this video to highlight the character and maybe just show that he's actually a really cool character and maybe we shouldn't be so hard on him.
凄まじいエネルギーだが、まるでスピードがない。避けろと言ったようなもんだ。
When we first meet the character, he arrives around the same time as Goku to train with Kame-sennin, and he's clearly not a good guy, it seems. He can't ride Kinton, only pure of heart can do that, and he clearly has an ulterior motive of why he wants to train, whereas Goku is more of the pure, just wants to become stronger, no particular reason. But of course, we learn that he was bullied and he was treated wrong. So we learn that he's not really a bad guy and he's a kid, for God's sakes. A kid being pushed around obviously would want a little bit of payback. But I like is this is one of the, early examples. Of course, we see this with Yamcha as well, of Goku just changing everybody he meets. And, that's something maybe we'll discuss in another video, but through the time training with Goku, they become like brothers. And it's one of my favorite parts of the entire series, all the way into Super, is their friendship and just how beautiful it is. After the training, we get to the first tournament. In the first tournament, a lot of stuff is played for laughs, but again, for those who are fans of the original series, I love the original series, by the way. The original series is still played for laughs. Toriyama had just come off of Slump, and he's still into the gags a lot. Even in, of course, later seasons, we'll see more gags, but it does obviously get more serious. But this early part of the story was just gags. Hell, I mean, we learned that he doesn't have a nose. Why doesn't he have a nose? It's never explained. But after his first fight, which is hysterical and it's a lot of fun, he gets to the fight against his former master, who's going under the fake name of Jackie Chun. And this fight is actually quite cool. There is some funny, silly moments in there, but even Kame-sen's surprised that his former student, this little boy, is actually putting up quite a good fight against him. In the end, of course, he's not able to defeat him, but he does surprise him in a few times, and it showcases how much growth the character has had in just such a short amount of time. And this is something that we're going to see as we talk more about his growth as a character.
しかし、もしもの時を考えて用意してあったものがあるんだ。おー、パウパウ。しまった。やったー！
After the first tournament, we get into the great Red Ribbon arc. Krillin takes the sideline for most of this, but once we get to the General Blue stuff, Bulma and Krillin join Goku on the adventure. And to be honest, if you watch the fight, Krillin gets the best of one of the strongest members of the Red Ribbon Army. He's only defeated when he uses his special ability to kind of freeze the opponent and lock him into place. Otherwise, Krillin would have had that match. So after the Red Ribbon arc, we go into a shorter story, the Uranai Baba story. Krillin joins again. It's still played for mostly laughs there, but shows a little bit of ingenious on his part how they're able to defeat the invisible fighter. Following this, we get into the next tournament, the next Tenkaichi Budokai, and this is where things get really cool. We get Krillin versus Chaozu. Chaozu and Ten Shin Han make their debut in the series, and of course they start as villains. It is a really good fight. Chaozu is quite powerful at this point in the story compared to a lot of the characters. You know, he can fly, he has kind of magical abilities almost. But in the end, Krillin gets the best of him, and it's a really good fight, showing again Krillin's growth over this time. So we get to finally Krillin versus Goku, and it is one of the coolest fights of the entire series. I mean, these are two best friends. They love each other like brothers, and they're fighting it out. Of course, there's the smiles on their faces as this is a fight they've been kind of looking forward to. Goku loves fighting anybody. He doesn't consider anybody not his equal. Goku just loves fighting in general, and Krillin looks up to Goku. He knows Goku is insanely powerful, and he just wants to be on equal footing with him. This is something we'll see much later on in the series. The fight is wonderful. There's so many back and forth moments. In the end, of course, Goku does get the win, as everybody would have expected, but not without Goku having so much respect for his friend, you know, who is able to actually push him a little bit further than he expected. And I think for a lot of us, it shows just how far Krillin was able to come in this time. I mean, we already know that Goku is insanely powerful, but Krillin able to stand toe-to-toe with him at some points and even get the best of him a little bit is pretty impressive. So now we're moving into one of the darkest moments in the series. Goku and Ten Shin Han are at the final moments of their fight. They're both falling to the ground. Whoever hits the ground first is out. Goku hits a car coming by and hits the ground just seconds before Ten Shin Han does, and he's out. Ten Shin Han's the winner. Krillin goes running, screaming Goku, like looking for his friend. Not because, you know, hey, you know, you lost the match, etc. I want to, you know, see ya. Only because his friend just hit the ground and he doesn't know if his friend's even okay. He goes running out there emotionally, like charged, and it is just so beautiful, like how much he cares about him. This is echoed in the upcoming scene. They're all on their way to a restaurant. Goku realizes he's forgot his stuff. Krillin says, don't worry about it. I'm going to go back and get it for you. He runs, and everybody smiles. They're all about to go inside. Goku has this moment where he stops, and he stares. And it is, for an mid-1980s animation, it's beautifully shot. Goku just is staring at Krillin as he's fading away into the distance, running away, as if it's the last time he's going to see him. And of course, we get the moment where Goku gets the almost like sense that something has happened. He goes charging out of the restaurant, running, and unfortunately finds Krillin lying on the ground dead. Someone has come, taken the Dragon Ball, and killed him. It is a pretty, for this point in the series, it's the first time something this grim has happened. Upa's father dying, kind of the first big death in the series, I guess you could say, but Krillin is someone we followed since the beginning, and it comes out of nowhere, a main character dying. This is the first time that's really happened. So it is such an important part of the story, too, because this is the first another growing up point for Goku. This whole early series, while it is a lot of fun and a lot of jokes, is essentially about him growing up and going through all these things that will make him into the adult he'll become. And his best friend being murdered is something that changes him. Goku, for the first time ever, fights for vengeance. Even after the Red Ribbon stuff, he didn't actively try to kill anyone, although he, I'm sure, by accident killed a lot of people if you watch that carefully. But this one, he's out for blood. And when he finds out about Piccolo Daimao and all of the little children he's been making, Goku brutally murders them. And it is some of the darker moments for the character, I think, for Goku. Of course, we all know that in the end, Goku wins and Krillin is brought back. But how it's done is so good. Goku doesn't see his friend come back. He can't, because he made a promise to Kami-sama that he would train. And when he makes the wish to bring him back, when that's all done, when the wish is made for him, I should say, he wants to go see his friend. That's all Goku cares about. Is, now that his friend's back and Kami-san is back and Chaozu's back, Goku wants to go see them and say, just to see them and see them come back to life. But Kami-sama's like, he can't. We got to train. And that means for 3 years, Goku does not see his friend, and nor does his friend see him. And what Krillin does here is really cementing why I'm even making this video. Krillin spends the next 3 years training his ass off, climbs Karin's tower. He becomes so much stronger and wiser. The amount of changes he puts himself through, all for one reason. He knows Goku's up there training, and he doesn't want Goku getting too far ahead of him. It shows that all in all, this kid is a martial artist, and all he wants to do is keep being better and better and better.
どうしたんですか？
いっけね。会場に忘れてきた。じいちゃんのドラゴンボールと如意棒。ほら、取ってくる。ああ、いいよ。俺が取ってきてやるよ。お前、クタクタだろ。平気だよ。あ取ってきてやるって。そっか、すまねえ、サンキュー。俺の分も飯頼んどいてくれよ。あクリリン。なんだ。ああ、なんだっけな、忘れた。じゃあすぐ戻るから。
So now we move to the final part of the original series, the Tenkaichi Budokai again. And Krillin, unfortunately, has to fight Ma Jr. in round 1, who is the reincarnation of Piccolo Daimao. Even though we all know as fans he ain't winning this match, it's going to be Goku versus Piccolo in the end. The point is, he puts up an impressive fight and shows in these few years where he has come. how far he has come. And I honestly, I just watched it again recently and still feel impressed that this little boy who is just lying his way to try to get some training to beat up some bullies is now fighting against one of the most powerful beings in the world, basically, and doing a pretty impressive job. Of course, in the end, he does lose. So now it's been 5 years. In the anime, Dragon Ball Z, of course, or in the manga, just the next volume. And in these 5 years, it seems Krillin maybe has kind of just taken it easy. Raditz shows up, knocks him out, and then we get a great moment where, Krillin points out that he can sense this guy's pretty strong. Krillin is still very attuned to things and can sense things. Goku dies during the fight, as we all know, and it's a really wonderful moment with Krillin getting to say goodbye to his friend, something Goku couldn't do when Krillin died. Goku arrived after Krillin had already been killed. But here, Krillin's holding his hands, he's crying, his friend's, dying in front of him. It's a sad moment. But of course, we know that they're planning to bring Goku back. Everything will be okay. It's only Goku's first time dying. So Krillin from here gets to train with Kami-sama the way Goku did to prepare him for Piccolo Jr.'s arrival. This time, Krillin, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, and Yajirobe, they all go up to train with Kami-sama. And the upcoming arc where Vegeta and Nappa arrive on Earth is some of the best Krillin moments. Of course, the first thing that happens is this, they summon the little Cyberman. Yamcha dies. That's pretty shocking in of itself because it's another main character, first time dying. And Krillin uses that amazing attack and goes off, wiping out nearly every one of them with one attack. It is just a really cool moment. After this, Nappa starts just decimating everybody. The thing that stands out the most in this is how, despite the power difference between Krillin and Nappa, hell, even Piccolo is no match for Nappa, Krillin never once cowers, never once says, maybe let's just run away. Not until a little later on, but by then it's quite understandable. The point is, Krillin is always up for attacking. Piccolo comes up with a plan. Krillin helps him. Of course, Gohan gets scared in that moment, but he's a child. Krillin, time and time again during this fight, surprises everybody. Every time you think he's out, he throws in an attack and catches Nappa off guard, surprising even Vegeta that this little guy just keeps popping back in. He never once gives up. And one of the greatest moments is he gets the closest to killing Nappa out of anybody. When he saves Gohan after, Piccolo's down at this point. Piccolo failed to, grab the tail and Nappa elbows him in the head. Gohan's about to get wiped out by Nappa. Krillin jumps in, catches him off guard, hits him, and then is about to do a Kienzen. And Nappa, the overconfidence at this point, after completely killing everybody, stands there like, bring it. And it wasn't until the last moment where Vegeta realized something about this attack is maybe dangerous and warns him to get out of the way. And Nappa moves out of the way, barely missing, and it cuts his face and then slices an entire mountain in half. He would have decapitated Nappa, and I think he needs a lot of props for that he almost single-handedly killed Nappa. That's impressive, actually. Of course, he's beaten at this point. He's done. Nappa's pissed. He's pretty much out cold until Goku arrives. Goku gives him the Senzu, and they run away. He and Gohan leave at this point so Goku can fight. During that fight, of course, he comes back and they all have to team up against Vegeta. Vegeta's just too powerful at this point. And Krillin, of course, is very helpful in this. He even gets a chance to have the Genki Dama. And Krillin gets another really wonderful moment, which is after Vegeta's finally defeated and he's crawling back to his pod, trying to escape with whatever life he has left. Krillin grabs Yajirobe's sword and is about to finish him off. So he almost killed Nappa, and now he's about to kill Vegeta. I mean, these are some real badass moments that he's having right here. Of course, Goku reaches out to him and says, spare him. I want to fight him again and defeat him one-on-one, fair and square. That's just who Goku is. Even though this guy's very dangerous and they probably should kill him, Goku wants a chance to fight him again, having technically not really won that fight, if you really think about it. It was by luck that he he got that victory. And yeah, so that ends that story. Krillin decides, all right, Goku, you're my best friend in the whole world. You say so, throws the sword down.
ここまでやったんだ。とどめを刺してやる。待て！殺されたみんなの恨みだ。覚悟しろ。
クソ体が言うこと。
死ねー。待ってくれー。悟空、今俺の心の中に話しかけてきたのは。
Now, after the Vegeta fight, Goku is sent to a hospital because, Karin-sama doesn't have any senzu ready. It's a weird thing in the story that senzu are one of the most convenient things. When you watch the OG series, he has barrels of senzu. But for some reason in Z, he's always out and they have to wait for him to make more. It's quite funny, actually. But I guess Toriyama knew that it was just too convenient, that they could just have like endless amounts of senzu. They would never lose any fights, basically. So he had to find a way to be like, oh, all right, well, we don't have any senzu right now, so we can't heal yet. Just to find a way to keep Goku out of the story for a while. So Krillin and Gohan have to go into space. They have to go to planet Namek, where Piccolo originates, to find Dragon Balls to bring everybody back. We get Gohan and Krillin training together, and they form this friendship that's almost in a way quite similar to Krillin and Goku's friendship. It's kind of really sweet that he and Goku's son now are forming this bond, especially after this first adventure together. They finally arrive on planet Namek. And right from the get-go, things aren't looking good. They sense that there's lots of evil powers there. They can sense really high powers, and this makes it feel like their trip was pointless. Krillin gets a lot of good moments, though, in this story arc. Despite the fact that they are very much underdogs, that Frieza's men are, Frieza himself and, of course, Zarbon Dodoria and against the Ginyu Force are just far more powerful than they are. Krillin and Gohan they stand the ground quite well. By the time we get to the Ginyu Force arriving, Krillin and Gohan team together to fight against Guldo, the first member to fight. Yeah, he's not the strongest member, but it is some cool tag team action. I mean, Gohan and Krillin, just awesome tag team action against him, and really good stuff. Same when Recoome comes. They are clearly outmatched when Recoome comes, but they do what they can. Goku finally arrives. Everything else that we know happens there with Captain Ginyu, all that stuff, switching their bodies around. But the real good stuff comes is when they decide to just steal the Dragon Balls when Vegeta's sleeping and just summon the dragon. Of course, pissing Vegeta off, but showing that Krillin does have some balls on him. And then Frieza arrives. At this point, Krillin can sense without a scouter, like, this guy is a monster. Like, he just senses how strong he is. Then, of course, Frieza's power gets ridiculous when he goes to his second form. And when he goes to his second form, he nearly kills Krillin. He impales him, throws him away. And while he's fighting, even Vegeta, is scared. Vegeta can't believe what's happening right now, that Frieza's this powerful. But then out of nowhere, we get that awesome Krillin moment where he comes and attacks Frieza, cuts his tail off, and and he's like launching all these Kienzan at him. And the fact that they are outmatched so much against Frieza, but they just keep going. I mean, Gohan as well. Gohan gets beaten down, he gets back up. They all keep coming back at him. And then Piccolo arrives. It's just like a bombardment of attacks. And Krillin, throughout this whole thing, just keeps fighting. He never once runs away. He just keeps fighting. Goku arrives finally again. And we get those moments where Goku's struggling against Frieza, and then we have Gohan and Krillin, who have barely any energy left, firing at Frieza. Like, it's just, there's so many great moments. This leads to the big one, Krillin gets killed again, second time, and it's an important moment in the series because very much like the Piccolo Daimao arc, this triggers Goku. It's one of the few times you'll see Goku get super pissed off. And when Krillin is killed in front of him, Goku loses it. And that's what triggers him to become Super Saiyan. So it is a extremely important moment in the series. But it's still depressing at the same time. Now, quick moment about Dragon Balls. Yeah, Dragon Balls are a cheap way to keep bringing characters back, but one thing Toriyama does that I love is that he always finds ways to make it seem like, well, maybe they can or maybe they can't. In the first, Piccolo Daimao story, Piccolo Daimao kills Shenron. So you're like, well, uh-oh, now they don't have any Dragon Balls anymore. Of course, Kami-sama says, well, I can just make the dragon, that's fine. He always finds ways to do that. Same with Piccolo dying after Nappa kills Piccolo, and then you're like, well, there are no more Dragon Balls. Well, I heard there were some Dragon Balls on his home planet. Keeps finding ways to redo it. Of course, Guru dies, and then there's no more Dragon Balls on planet Namek, so they keep finding ways to take away the Dragon Ball element of bringing people back. And then, of course, you could throw in that Krillin had already died once. Maybe we can't bring him back again, but we learned that those Dragon Balls are very powerful. So now, of course, we move into the android story, the Cell story. And, this is where a lot of the human characters begin taking the sideline. Toriyama had no choice, as with Vegeta joining the main crew. Then you had Gohan, growing up. You had just way too many Saiyan characters. And the Saiyan characters, of course, being so powerful that the other characters just couldn't do anything anymore. And as new villains kept appearing, they just kept getting such higher powers that nothing we could do. There was no way he could keep these humans catching up. But he kind of gives them as this Cell story is the last hurrah. As with the Cell games, everybody shows up, even if they don't do anything. This is the last time we'll see Yamcha there and Ten Shinhan for a while. So Krillin does get a few times to shine. Maybe not the best moment being when he steps on the controller to deactivate 18. But again, you can't be mad at him for that because Vegeta also lets Cell become perfect. So there's a lot of that stuff in the storyline. But Krillin does get a few good moments. Nothing too standout-ish, though. There's one cute moment that's filler that I like, and that's when Goku wakes up after the medicine finally heals him, and he teleports onto the ship where they're flying, and Krillin leaps and hugs him, breaking the back door. In the manga, that doesn't happen. He's just excited that Goku's there. He doesn't actually jump and hug him and break the door, but that's just a really cute thing in the anime. But when you finally get to the end of this arc, Goku dies again, and Krillin, of course, is sad. Gohan is devastated. His father died twice. At this point, Gohan sees his father die twice and assumes his father died when they were on Namek, and everybody leaves and the planet explodes. The trauma that little boy goes through is insane. But Krillin gets that great last moment of, he gets to shine a little bit. He gets to help Gohan when Gohan's doing that final big Kamehameha, against Cell, and he's back there with everybody, shooting, firing.
So, こんな風にどこへでも現れて、クリリン。うわー！ゴーク会いたかった。
Moving on into the Boo stuff, there's not much to say, but of course it's more cute stuff, as now we learned he married 18, which is awesome and weird at the same time. He doesn't get to do much, but there's a lot of fun stuff, especially with Piccolo, and trying to show them how to do the fusion dance and stuff is quite hysterical. But yeah, aside from that, this is that moment in the story. Same with Ten Shinhan, who doesn't appear till the end of the Boo story, where sadly these characters started fading out. But that would be it for the original series, of the original series of the manga, I should say, or Dragon Ball Z. Krillin, in the end, just kind of gets sidelined and doesn't get to do much else. Until we get to the final part of Dragon Ball Super, that is.
懐かしいな。こうして二人でいると無天老師様のとこにいた頃のことを思い出すよな。
そうだ、どうせ修行するなら亀仙人のじっちゃんのところ。ああ、来るよ。
When we reach the final, and my personal favorite arc in Super, the Tournament of Power arc, Krillin, as well as many of the aforementioned sidelined characters, get to have one last moment to shine. First, we get the lovely little moment of Krillin and Goku sparring, followed by a silly but cute little side quest. Then we get to the actual tournament. And as you can see here, it's quite fun seeing Krillin and his wife 18 fighting side by side, something we hadn't seen before. Of course, it kind of gets silly once he learns his opponent can't see and instead has a heightened sense of smell. But what I personally love about this is that it's kind of a callback to Krillin's very first tournament fight against Bacterian, where in that fight, his opponent used his terrible odor to incapacitate his opponents. However, once Goku points out that Krillin has no nose, he's able to defeat his opponent easily, and then farts on him for good measure. Here, Krillin uses his own foul odor to win with his smelly shoe. Sadly, this is as far as he goes, as Frost takes a cheap shot to knock him out. For the rest of the tournament, he's on the sideline again, just cheering for everybody else. But I'm so grateful that we got this one final badass moment for Krillin. Again, he's one of my favorite characters, and just letting him shine one last time was kind of nice. And I think for all the characters in this story, Tenshinhan, even Gohan, all the characters that kind of weren't doing anything anymore, it was just nice to see them all shine one more time. So I hope you enjoyed this deep dive we did on the character Krillin today. Again, he's one of my favorite characters. I think that he doesn't get enough justice, to be honest. He's always there no matter what the odds. Anytime other characters thinking, I'm done. Like Yamcha, for example, a lot of the characters are just, these new villains are just crazy. I'm out. Krillin's like, I'm going to go see what I can do. And I think that alone deserves a little more respect. He's always willing to just go into battle even if he has no chance of winning, just because he wants to do his part. And I think that alone makes him a hero, in my opinion.